Hello, everybody. Welcome to our new version of the Uncomfortable Comfort Zone. It's the fourth one already. And today I'm very pleased to reintroduce you, Joanna Dembowska, specialized in Gen Z, world-known keynote speaker, and Mattia Oikonomidis, who lives in the Emirates, who started business there, and who is also my son. So, the theme of today is Gen Z and Gen X. So, this side of the table is Gen X, as you can imagine, and Gen Z is my son. And why did we have this idea? It's to create a comfortable comfort zone from the beginning and to do the right things to preserve it so that they would never come into the uncomfort of the comfort zone. And that's why we're united today to discuss some themes like what you're confronted to, how do you see the world, how we see the world. Maybe that's why sometimes we have some slight discussions.
Very slight.
Very, very small discussions, and to see the strengths of every generation and situation.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here. Hi, Joanna. Hi, Muri.
Hello, I'm very happy to be here. Thank
Voilà.
you for invitation.
So maybe you can share shortly your story, because I think it's a very interesting story.
Hi, guys. I'm Mattia. I'm 25, Muriel's son, as you know, Joanna. Born and raised in Jette, went to school in Brussels. It was around 2022 that I decided to emigrate to the United Arab Emirates, where I'm right now the proud co-founder of Evelution Technologies. We are a company in the AI beauty tech industry. So long story short about my trajectory, went to school, then around 2020, I realized that that my future wasn't what I really imagined it to be after the whole world literally just stopped. Thankfully, I am surrounded by a very entrepreneurial mother who just kept working since the company is under our home. And that's the moment where Muriel and me were sitting down, and since I was in the beginning of my life, so 19 years old, to see what were my strengths, what were my weaknesses, and how could I adapt in this digitally fast moving world. That's when Muriel decided to. Back in the day, it was the testing phase of Career Start. Career Start is a service of Pangloss where they basically guide people of my age back then, so after high school, to develop their personality, think about what they like, what they can do, what they don't like, what they don't want to do. And then basically I got like a report the size of books that I would never read. But this was very interesting because I was literally reading who I was, how I was thinking, how I was acting, handling, all in the professional context. And that's basically where I made my click. Instead of being lost in a world where I was like, wait, who do I want to be? No, let me zoom out and just focus on who I am. So not on who I want to be, but who am I currently, and how can I use my current personality traits in my strengths, enable to develop myself professionally. And so that's when we started doing some marketing related projects together, like the new website of Pangloss and some rebranding of the company. And that's basically when Mattia really started becoming Mattia.
And that's where I also met you.
Correct.
And saw how you wonderfully guide people with the video CVs, with digitalization, with facing some of the challenges on the career path. So that was really nice to see that
Most definitely.
you focus on your strengths, because it's definitely your strength.
No, and from the experience of outplacement, where of course people are more Gen X than Gen Z or A or whatever, I'm going back to my uncomfortable comfort zone. We got the idea because we see so many people discovering through their outplacement that they actually weren't at the right place, but life made them continue. They made promotions. And so I said, oh, why don't we develop something to help youngsters to be much more conscious about who they are? And so, because for me, the traditional system was more like put everybody on the same way, and we will see the strongest, and that's not always true. I think life is marvelous, as you know, and everybody has strengths and talents, and I think it's more interesting to give the confidence to young people. Not that we are old, of course, but
A bit older.
let's say that they're younger than us.
Mature? You mean mature?
And we grew up in a completely different time, as you know. So at one point, you had more freedom than us, even if we were rather free too, but it was different. But sometimes people get freedom at an age where they can maybe not
Manage it properly.
So I think we created a much more difficult world for youngsters because there's so much choices, so much. Look now today with all the influencers, communities, and look at you moving 6,000 kilometers away. It's beautiful, but you have to give them some support in their self-consciousness. Because if you start like that during your career and your life, you will maybe, I hope, keep that consciousness.
That's true.
Yes.
Because our generation maybe at one time became more unconscious of themselves because they were drawn into a path of life, and then all of a sudden
I agree.
they realized
And I think the career start kit concept also came somewhere out of your motherly instincts, because what do you want as a parent for your child, for them to feel good and safe with themselves and to enter the world with this type of mindset of I'm enough, I'm good enough, and I'm going to do what I'm good in.
Yeah.
And I think that's very similar to what Career Start does. Basically, I remember when we did our first session with other young people, where at the end of so in the beginning, everybody's a bit like,
What
sounds
is
a
this?
bit boring, like why is she talking about colors? And then when you see the transformation from before the workshop and then after, where they're all like, whoa, I really didn't notice about myself. I really noticed some new things, some new thought patterns I'm being confronted with, and is having effect on how I'm thinking and how I'm being. So I think it was just a small anecdote. I think it's from mother instinct that Career Start came.
And I think additional side of this product is also, and I'm not necessarily focused on the product, but it's actually you answering questions yourself. You're sitting in your own peaceful moment, you answering all the questions, and then the report is telling you what you have marked as most important, not so important to you. And I was maybe 45 when I had the same type of answers and the report for me about myself. And I do believe that it's a very good tool just to get the confidence with your own strengths, not necessarily about the weaknesses, but really with your own strengths. Stop fighting with yourself, because if you are good in a communication, good talking to people, you have less energy sitting in Excel spreadsheet and filling up the small points of Excel spreadsheet. But there is another person who just derives energy from actually sitting with Excel spreadsheet, having these details on one piece of paper, controlling different elements. And in the group settings, you actually need all those qualities.
Yes.
There is nothing right or wrong. There is not the good or bad answer to these questions.
That's true.
Getting to know yourself. But in the team setting, in a group setting, you actually want this diversity.
Exactly.
You want that. And you said we are here on the Gen X on this side and Gen Z on the other side. But any moment I would go on the other side to work with the Gen Z,
of course.
to be in this diverse group. as we even talked today, that, looking about the tools that we have, information that we have, yes, the digital world was just created as you were born,
basically.
right? And internet started to be bigger and bigger, and iPhone was 2007, right? So it's like you had,
He wanted one.
of course, but
Never got one.
we couldn't want one because there wasn't existing at the age, right? Like when we were 25,
You guys had Walkmans, which was also
we did,
cool.
we did,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
did,
Also
we
cool.
did.
It was so nice. We were recording cassettes.
And
We were
illegally
recording from the
downloading it.
radio, like, oh, stop the pause.
You see the difference, and we were illegally downloading it from the internet to put it on our little MP3.
Yeah. And I didn't agree with
Yeah.
that. So I went with them when they started to do that, to the FNAC, the FNAC.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, you can steal some CDs. And they said, we don't want to steal. I said, that's exactly what you're doing by downloading
A
illegally.
good life lesson of Muriel.
Yes, yes, you can still-
Respect for the music and the artist, please.
Of course. And now we have Spotify, which means like, whoops, we can listen to anything, don't go to any shop. That's all of the changes. What would you do different if you wouldn't know that strength that you got from this report?
If I can be honest, and I'm not going to expose myself too much on the internet, but I've been confronted a lot with myself because I noticed from a very young age I was thinking and being a lot more different than the other kids in my school. So from a very young age, I've always had to battle against insecurities, etc. And it was actually because of the disc that I realized that my insecurities were actually hidden strengths. And to answer your question, in what would I have done differently, I think I would have just continued going down the path of seeing them as weaknesses instead of strengths.
Wonderful.
And then with social media on top of that, that's constantly having this impulse on your brain of thinking and thoughts and self-judgment and
Comparison
and realizing I have no
bombarding.
self-esteem because I'm sitting here at 3 p.m. in bed scrolling while this guy is sitting in Lamborghinis in Dubai enjoying his life. So I think
Probably
disc,
rented.
if I can be honest, and I don't want to be dramatic most probably, without being dramatic, I think I dare to say that in a way disc has saved my life.
Because at the end, we were talking about diversity, and it's all about confidence.
Yeah.
And confidence comes with experience, and experience comes with age. So, and that was my thing for this career start, is that youngsters lack of self-confidence in their professional
Yeah.
possibilities because they're too
lack
young.
and
They
because they
don't have
lack
the
experience.
Yes.
So we were thinking if we can do something about the confidence, saying like, okay, you're, for example, very creative, very this, very that, and not a lot, not very structured or analytical, and that's okay. People get confidence just to hear that it's okay.
Exactly.
But also
validation
with
from outside.
Voila, but also with warnings like, oh, so if you're going for this kind of job, watch out because you have a lack of analytical skills, for example. So watch out. And what can you do about that?
I agree. Yeah. I
And
agree.
so I think they gain a lot of time.
Yes.
Because you need time to discover your optimal environment, what gives you energy, what takes you energy, what you like to do, etc., etc.
And I think that's a very interesting point we're talking about, because that's the problem of today, is that the youngsters, so Gen Z, doesn't have the feeling that they have time because the world is so fast moving. Then you come with a solution to, guys, let's stop time, let's take a step back.
And that's a big difference with our generation.
That's
At your
big.
age, for us, the life was like a huge ocean. Like we had this notion of time, right?
But you had the notion
Yes.
of time because you didn't have anything disrupting the notion of
Yeah,
time. We're
but-
constantly being
But
influenced.
currently we don't have it. That's
do you mean?
not the notion of having time. We are in the same speed as
I
you
agree.
are,
Yeah, but we're older, so
We
mathematically.
are more mature. We are not older.
But I think
No, but mathematically, probably.
I think Muriel meant at my age in your time.
Yeah.
No, when we
That's-
were his age.
Yeah, yes,
Now,
yes.
of
We
course,
we
you
did
don't
the sky was the limit. Everything was to do.
I
So it's
didn't have
very
a phone at
interesting.
home. So, of course, I had more time.
No, but it's interesting that somebody of his age is saying that. I didn't know that. Of
what didn't you know?
that time is working against you. That youngsters have the feeling they don't have time
We are constantly being confronted
to
with
be successful.
successful is a big word, but it's just when you're a 25-year-old guy that has been, or a girl that has been growing in an age where most of the people your age are showing their progress online, and then suddenly you're having a moment where you're thinking, and then you go on the internet because once our brain gets bored, the first impulse is to grab our phone, and then you go on a social media app where you see the guy your age looking like he's doing a lot better
Yeah.
than you, and then you're like, I'm 24, I'm the same age as him, but I'm sitting here at home. I'm still asking dad for money so I can go outside to chill with my friends. While this guy is there, like, oh, dude, I don't have any time. I don't have any this and any that. So we are constantly being confronted with this.
Yeah.
Guys,
Move on.
Move on.
Faster.
Why are
Do
you
something.
sitting still?
Yes.
And that's a great, sorry to interrupt you, that's a great
to
mindset
interrupt.
to have when you're in that type of mindset, which is let's hustle, let's, evolve. But when you're, even 25 is still very young, when you're still at the moment in your life where I don't want to be going fast, I just want to be going my own tempo, that's when depression starts kicking in, because then you become an outsider, because if you don't choose to join the modern world, you become an outsider. When you're an outsider, you're alone. And so that's basically the cycle of Gen Z, sadly enough. And I really sincerely hope that will change. But again, talking about career start, I think that if this concept could be worked out, not globally, but over the whole school industry in general, if we could start this at, for example, 5th or 6th secondary, and for the first years in university, I think this would be a game changer. I think we would see enormous growth with youngsters today. Enormous growth in how they are as everything.
And I think that investment, I call it a little bit investment in yourself, because you also had an opportunity here, but also I ask the question, like, how do you invest in yourself? Sometimes we say we need to go and exercise, go to the gym. This is a little bit like a mental gym, that you come and invest in yourself to
Yes.
know what is best suited for you.
Exactly.
And at the same time, I think you, Muriel, mentioned many times, and I take this as a mentor, I will say to everybody, what gives you energy? It's almost like you have to write it down, and it's not the mental exercise that you will talk to yourself about this, but you write it down and check regularly. And one important thing, if you run the disc at 25, be aware that some of your strengths and approach to things may change, because you also get mature. It doesn't necessarily shift much. But example, just for me, is when I was approached in certain business environment, my red color, like results is high driven, and not necessarily other colors, but then I also elevated other colors because I've learned how to make access to them.
Yes.
Right? It's what we're saying as well, that in the disc you have a preferred way of acting, but you also can make an exercise
Exactly.
to
Adapt.
have more access to
That's
the
what
other
I call
energies.
it, right? Adapted.
Adapted growth.
Yes. So that's
Very
important to understand that, yes, if you want to be successful in that area, you still can do it. You just know for yourself that it's going to cost you more effort.
Yes.
If I am extroverted and yellow and I want to talk to people, it's easy to talk to people. But if I am not extroverted and I don't necessarily like to talk to people, I will talk to people. But it will cost me more effort.
Exactly. Energy.
And do you think your generation is busy with comfort? And I'm not talking about renting Lamborghinis and buying sneakers of I don't know how much, but in this self-confidence, comfort.
If they're busy with it,
Yeah, if it's something that is
I think
living.
I think a lot of people my age and of my generation in general are trying to do, but again, the distractions are bigger than the availability of time and energy to invest in there. I think our brains have been wired so much with social activities, whether it is digital or physical, that we prioritize this a lot more than ourselves.
Yeah.
I did it oppositely because I went against the stream. I didn't. I chose to not partake in the social events and digital environments my generations have created. That's why I'm called an outsider, which I'm very proud of. But for the opposite side, most of the people of my generation, yes, I think they want it. They're doing it.
But
there's
are
way
they
too much
conscious
distraction.
about it?
About mental health, you mean?
No, about
Themselves, growth?
the importance of knowing what we're discussing, their personality, their way of behaving, their
There's a certain quote which says you can't miss what you don't know. So I think since they're not very aware of how their life could improve, just like myself, I didn't know I could become who I am today if I would have done the disc. If that day I decided to be illegally outside instead of with you, I would have never done it. I would have never known. So
So you say the lockdown was helping you to focus
basically,
on
being forced,
doing
being
this
forced to
exercise.
be locked down with my mom. Yes, yes, because that's the age where you know.
Yeah, but I think awareness of the mental health is much bigger now than it was before.
Yeah.
Access to the knowledge, information, because of social media, but also more self-helping books, more access to different tools, being more public. Not only about the disc, but also insights. There is now another way how to drive yourself through like drivers, what
Yeah.
really motivates you. There is much more access to look at this from the professional perspective, but also private. Because
Correct.
one laughing example for me was that the disc or insight should be almost shared with your partner, because it also shows about your different preferences. So it's not only
100%.
professionally, it actually can be used privately.
100%.
I did it with them because I have two sons. When they started to become, let's say, a bit annoying, you know, in the
I can't.
When we
I
start
just
to
don't know
become
that.
men.
I
when
don't know
they're-
that feeling.
When we start to
Gen
become
Z is
men.
my partner.
when they started to grow up to
Become men.
voila, and I adapted my style towards them, following the colors. That's why this older brother says I was much different with him than with him. And I said, that's right, because you're other persons.
You're different.
You're different. The frame was the same, about the values and stuff they could do and not do. But I think that people should, as soon as they get into professional life, because we're here about to talk about professional life, to be so conscious about themselves. That's so important, so much more important. We did a tryout with the Career Start with some youngsters some years ago. And I said, at the end, I said, would you be prepared to pay for this? And they said, yes, but not too much, because we're young and we don't have a lot of... I said, okay. And I said, how much were your sneakers? Your 250, 250. So the health of your feet and more design is more important than this kind of stuff. And it's normal in a way, because they don't realize how important it is.
Of course.
We realize it again because of the age and the experience and everything. And
And financial security, which we can't
Yeah.
forget.
yeah.
Right? But but you're right. For me, it is a part of investment. So how much do you want to invest in yourself? And I think the younger generation is much better now in looking at things as an investment. Right?
Yeah.
It is better. So it's the same, translating different spending, how many coffees a day it is, and I think it's more showing the value for them or for us, for any individual, than just saying, oh, you should be doing this, because it's not about the shoot. It's about, again, different tools that you can equip yourself through the journey. If you don't have time now, think about it as a tool that you may reach later, right? But it's equipping yourself on the career journey
100%.
in a way that
You basically load your guns.
Yes.
I would call it like that. When everybody comes to life, comes to the professional journey with 2 guns. But sadly, we have to create the ammunition ourselves by, going to print something for the coworker that's 1 year older than us in the company, or bringing coffee, etc. While a career start kit basically shows you the blueprint of how to create powerful bullets. I think I would describe it like that. Because you basically gave me my ammunition to afterwards shoot around on target, of course, not loss of loaders, but on target to find out what I want to do. No, but it's true. It's really true.
Joanna and I were wondering how your generation looks at the future. What are the obstacles? What are the opportunities? How do you see it?
How we see the future, I think right now, and I can speak for most of the people of my generation, the future is looking very scary because of the rise and the pace AI is moving. If I can speak more for myself, I think the obstacle and the challenges we have for the future is that we really have to make something unique out of ourselves. So what do I mean with this? Because for your generation, for example, you were put into a classic school system where you were forced to follow 1 or 2 roads, and then become somebody in a professional context, whether it's, just in the corporate world or becoming a artisanal, a baker, a butcher, all those things. While today, I believe that once I will come in your age, when it's in 10 years, I think, 25, 35, 45, I think we will be confronted with all those simpler jobs going to be automated. So basically that's what I meant in the beginning, we're going to have to prove our worth for the future. We're going to have to create something unique out of us, so we are wanted, basically.
I think, one, you say that we are wanted, but also you already want. This is how I was talking to the Gen Z, that you already want to bring value to the place, and bring value in a sense of representing something, making a change, whether it is a corporation or is it your private business or something else.
I agree.
But you are right that the younger generation is challenged through all the changes, right? Like we're hearing that some of the jobs may go away, some of the job content may change, and sometimes if you want just a simple job, it might not be available in your area because it moved to the different area. And I think it's important to recognize those options, but at the same time, it is more challenging. And I don't know if you see it, but I also see it in a sense that the value realization of yourself and what you want in your life also must be faster. So it's not only what you represent faster, but also what the universe bring you must be faster.
Exactly.
Because I also see that it's changing the loyalty for the employer, or employer loyalty to the employee. Like if you are the more spirit of having your own business, right? Like you can actually be influencer, have your own business, smaller menu. Maybe you say bakery, but maybe I just do the nails and being a beautician. And that's my own business, my life. And I see this also, the younger generation is doing this very consciously.
True.
And we all changing. So the dynamic of cross-generation work also changes the generation as our generation, saying like, we also have to adapt.
Exactly.
The good, what was perceived 20 years ago as a start of career, work longer, prove yourself. No, that is now the other way around. You prove that
Your
you want
worth
me.
against a robot,
Yes.
basically.
Yes.
You see the difference, though, that before it was a lot more human-centered, which was trading your time and energy for accomplishments.
Yes.
While now we have to trade our time and energy in order to prove ourselves more worthy than a robot. Because today we live in a world where a robot can do what we can do 10 times better, faster, and more consistent.
I think certain things robot can do faster. It's a little bit like, us using even the ChatGPT or any AI that help us do certain things. But I don't think that everything is done faster. And for me, our generation that might be a little bit in the power of higher positions should be recognizing that the development of the younger generation, the guidance, the come along with me, building up that capabilities that will bring more for the future, instead of saying I'm just going to invest in AI. For me, it's really sad story if that's going to be the only opportunity and the only investment. I hope we wake up and say, no, we need humanity. You think so?
I think that it has... when they discovered AI, they were being very cautious with it. And once they brought it out to the world, everybody had their hands on it and everybody could develop it in their ways. And I think and I don't think I see it, it grew to a point where there's like thousands of AI companies being created every single hour in the world. And so it's becoming so powerful because the more you use AI, the smarter it gets, right? So since everybody has been using it 24 hours a day for the last 7 days, for the last month, for the last 2 years now, I think it's growing in such a way where we're just losing our grip of it. We're losing control out of it. And it's going to come to a point where I believe it will end up where it's going to be two groups, and ones will be the complete pro AI, and the other ones we're going to be completely anti AI.
But that's in everything.
And I was just thinking about you when I was saying it, because when I was young, I remember you always explained to me the concept of divide and conquer, right? And sadly, with AI, the concept is going to be
with everything. With COVID, you had the vaxxers and the anti-vaxxers, and what struck me then was that nobody knew anything, but you had the two groups, while nobody knew it. It's a bit like AI.
But we're talking about the illness versus something that's here to stay.
No, it's about concepts, about ideas, about... So that's why I think this generation, since you are the future, we're in the reality, we're in the present... it's very important, the consciousness and the confidence to know, because that's the difference. We cannot replace everything with AI.
But we also don't know what's coming tomorrow. I hear that they're regulating it more and more. I see that they're being really conscious about mental health, what you're saying with younger generations now, with the speed of the world.
Yeah, but look, like when the social came, there you had also things attacking mental health of vulnerable people, young people. All the girls who wanted to be like all the Instagram girls, and all the boys wanting to be... So it's
but the problem today
it's
is
not linked to AI, it's linked to human nature. But so in the time of my parents, it was something else. It's always the same thing in a new concept, in a new...
Yes, but the challenge today is that it's a combination of all those things we've been having the last year.
And the speed. I think the bigger challenge, what you're saying, is the speed of the change, not the fact that it's
the importance of self-consciousness.
Exactly.
Couldn't agree more.
Self-consciousness and confidence.
Yeah.
That's why I'm
asking
not
arrogant.
That's why I'm asking you, what are you waiting for to do your career start, kids? Huh?
This is not a commercial podcast.
I'm not being paid for this.
Me neither.
No.
So again, it was very interesting. Thank you so much, Joanna, that you freed up.
Thank you for invitation.
Voila, and thank you, Mattia, for your insights. And to end this, I would like you to give you the final word.
Thank you very much to both of you for having me in this very interesting podcast. Maybe it would be interesting if we could redo this episode in 1 year from now, so we can see the evolution of AI, the evolution of technology, and again how Gen Z is adapting to those new changes once again.
Yes.
And how we adapt too.
Most
We're
definitely.
also using ChatGPT.
Most definitely. I noticed it. I noticed it.
Thank you for watching or listening or both to this episode around Gen Z. We hope we inspired you, and we hope to see you the next time on the next episode. Thank you very much.